some of this nonsense that I see floating around, and I tell you, every so often, it seems like every, I don't know, couple of years or so, you have some cuckoo bird that comes out of the cuckoo nest and starts, creating rainbows everywhere, and then next thing you know, people start running after them. And you know, I had somebody ask me today. They said, why would somebody do something like that? Why would they do it? I don't know. I mean, it would seem to me that it would be a lot of public embarrassment to put yourself out there like that. And, and then eventually, you're Winston Shrout and your granddaughter, and you're both locked up and you're doing a bunch of time. Or you're Heather Tucci and you and your friend, they're both locked up too, and you're both doing a bunch of time too. And once again, we're hearing these messages of going to go buy a car with a 1099A. So tonight I wanted to talk about this particular young lady. Her name is Kelly Jackson. She was invited onto the call, but she's clearly not here. So that should tell you something in yourself. I'm gonna just, man, I hope you guys can hear this. So just bear with me if you can't, or if you can't, just let me know, and I'll go from there. So just bear with me. Here we go. All right, let's see. Hold on a second.
Now, once you do your 1099As for your bills, because we're working on just your bills right now, make sure that you're paying them for the entire year. Calculate your light bill, what you would pay every month for 12 months. Calculate your water bill for 12 months. Cell phone bill. Whatever bill you have monthly, calculate it for the year and put that total in box 2. Box 4 is zeroed out. Okay. Also, car notes. You want to pay the entire balance. Okay. You want to put the entire balance, pay off.
All right. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to turn it off. Okay. I'm serious. You might go to jail for broadcasting that kind of nonsense. Okay. So number one, I want you to look at this Kelly Jackson person just right off the bat. Okay. What you're going to see is that she posted a thing earlier, and I posted it on the call, and it says, "Congratulations, Derek Jackson. The IRS has accepted your 1099 tax return." Now, this is going through a service. Let's see, get this over here. This is going through a service that just provides and sends 1099s out. Okay, that's what they do. And they file them with the IRS. Now, just because it's accepted doesn't mean everything's okay. And let me tell you what the scam is. When you fire, so hold on a second. So let me just clarify that what really goes on is you have to understand that everything in the IRS is compartmentalized. What does that mean? That means you can't just go process your return at the San Antonio branch office. They don't do that. Those guys do something completely else, something else. So even though they are the IRS, these cuckoo birds think they're like Stop and Go or something, or 7-Eleven, and like, oh, we just show up and they just take care of us. No. What they've done is they've compartmentalized the entire process. And what that means is they've put people in little compartments, and they have very limited access, and they're only be able to see just a small field of play. They don't see the big picture, because if they saw the big picture, they wouldn't be working there very long. That's just truth and point. Okay? So because of that, the system is compartmentalized. That means that your returns do not go where this cuckoo bird is saying that they're going. Okay? Now, what she did was she sent it electronically. Now, one of the things that you have to know about these gurus, and they're gurus, they are, because they're just full of crap, is that they're parasites, and they always use somebody else. Did you see? I read the thing. It says, "Congratulations, Derek Johnson." That means that's her relative that she's put together to use their ID to go and try this out, see if it works. How come her name isn't on there? How come her name hasn't accepted anything? It's because she's a fraud. Kelly is a fraud. Okay. And the reason she is a fraud is because she's giving advice that she really doesn't know. Does it make sense? No. Okay. She's talking about a 1099A. That's an acquisition for, not in place of, not any other words, but an acquisition for abandoned property. That means if you have left some money somewhere, you can send them, if they have an EIN, a 1099A for that money, and you can get it back. Now, there are lots and lots and lots of theories about where this abandoned money might actually be. But let me tell you where it's not. Okay? You're not going to use an acquisition for abandoned property to go get some other property. I mean, come on, man. You got to make sense out of this stuff. It really does. And if you listen to the rest of this nonsense, she's going to continue to go on to tell you that she's got templates and she's got stuff to help you. Dude, these are the same stupid templates that were rolling around back in 2016. I'm going to tell you that now. And all the idiots that played with that board went to jail. And if they didn't go to jail, they got a $5,000 frivolous filing fee that they had to pay off. Okay? For her, for Kelly Jackson. When she's got nothing going for herself. Not a single damn thing. Let me tell you something. When you talk to someone, make sure they're credible. Make sure they have fruits. If you're sitting there talking to somebody that spends the majority of their day in a laundry room and there's baskets and crap hanging around behind them, unless you've got questions about permanent press or something related to that, you probably ought to keep flipping. Just keep TikToking. You'll get to the right one. Just TikTok right on past it. Okay? I'm going to show you guys some other stuff I'm seeing out there. Okay? I'm going to show you some issues. And I'm going to show you clear and evident defects in what these people are doing. Okay? Gosh, this woman's lost her mind. So, I'll play this video for you guys here.
Okay, TikTok. I want to make a correction. I'm woman enough to say when I made an error. And I had to go back and fix the situation. So I need to correct the exemption of the ticket. So it is where you put it on the front in purple. I do not accept your offer to contract, and I do not consent to the proceeding. Signature without prejudice, UCC 1308. Also, you need to do the proof of service. Get that notarized and present it to the police station and the court. Drop it off because you ain't gonna have time to mail it. Also,
okay. I had to stop it. I just had to stop it. So what is she doing? She's talking about assessing the ticket, right? But in the very beginning of the ticket, you're going to see that she's telling you that she wrote on here in blue, purple lettering, whatever, I do not consent. And now how are we assessing these things? Seriously, how are we assessing these things when we're doing it like that? And then she's saying that you got to get stuff notarized. Hey, honey, you need to appear for that ticket. Otherwise, you're going to get a warrant, stupid. Yeah, stupid. Stupid. Stupid is doing the same thing more than once and expecting a different end result. It's stupid. It's insanity. It's okay to make a mistake in life, but it's not okay to be stupid. And this is stupid. This is reckless. And people are falling for this crap. And I'm telling you, if you've got people like this in your life, and they're telling you these processes, can I tell you? They don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to clear up just one little, I'm going to tell you a defect in this ticket, okay? Forget the stupid court form and all this other nonsense, okay? You have to appear for these tickets, okay? If you don't appear for these tickets, along with returning the ticket, and guess who else you need a notary on? You need a notary on that ticket that's returning it. Otherwise, you don't have a witness. Yeah. And it needs to be done within 3 days. That's not happening. She's going back here saying that she made a mistake, and she's going back and cleaning it up. It's too late. You're out of time. She's going to go to jail. This is going to happen. Watch this. Do you know why? Because we're playing around like children in a parent's closet, trying on clothes that just clearly don't fit. This is serious stuff. And it pisses me off. It really does. When people grandstand like this and start gaslighting situations for people, because it hurts people. It oppresses people. It wages war where a war doesn't need to be waged. It's just that simple. I saw I posted another video earlier. Those of you guys that saw some of the videos and about the 1099A. Let me tell you something. A lot of these people, a lot of the things that I couldn't find the video, I guess I deleted it. But he's saying that there's just no audio. I'm going to mute out. I'm going to see. Are you guys having an okay time? Can you hear me okay? Can everybody hear me okay? I'm going to just unmute Kurt. Can you hear me okay now, Kurt?
Absolutely. You sound great now.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I can hear you too.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So I'm going to speak a little bit more aggressively tonight just because I'm using a different medium. Because, it's the computer is just being a stupid computer today. And anyway, so I apologize. But here's one thing you need to understand about the 1099s, okay? The 1099, the W-2, those are all red forms. Have you noticed that? A lot of you guys probably noticed that, okay? Well, those are class 5 gift forms. That means they're activated currency. That means when they're filed, they're activated currency. And what happens in this country if you go run over to the color copier and start coloring up a bunch of money and cutting out dollar bills? You busted for counterfeiting, now wouldn't you? Well, guess what? If you're filing copies of these 1099s, because that's what this cuckoo bird will tell you to do, she'll send you copies. So you just fill them out and send them off. Let's see if it works. See how many idiots I can see to run off the cliff. Guys, don't fall for this stuff. Let it make sense. A 1099A in its proper context. Let me tell you where a 1099. Let me give you a good scenario for a 1099A. It's for getting abandoned property that's been left there. Okay. For example, when you bought, or when many Americans have bought their most recent car, okay, no matter what the state is, they were put in a position where they were forced to register that car. And so they registered the car and they gave the title to the state. Yes, that happens. And then then the customer got their name put on the certificate of title that's issued by the state. And what does that mean? That means that you and the state have an agreement. Okay. You filled out what is called a title application. And that title application, basically, the title application is what gives the control of your vehicle, of your property to the state. And in Texas, you're actually not required to do that by law. And this is one of the few states that you can do that. That's not the case everywhere else. but that I know of. But I can tell you in Texas, you can't. You can still do that. We're still the last republic, which is nice. But things are changing. Things are changing all around us right now, and people are getting scared, and people are moving around. There's been talk of our sovereignty. You guys heard about that? Something about 120 something countries voting of whether or not the United States sovereignty should be lifted or not. That's right. We're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of financial trouble. Okay. We got a lot of dirty hands, and I'm sure I'm not saying anything that we don't already know. And I don't think Donald Trump's going to save the day. But I'm going to tell you, the sovereignty of the United States is held within its people. Did you hear me? And if you don't go out there, and if you don't claim that Siskiyou trust, if you haven't locked it all down, if you haven't defined the parties and who they are, you need to be worried. You need to be watching CNN. You need to be doing something. Okay? Because guess who they're going to be coming for? You. Those of us that have done this process, those of us that have reserved our rights, those of us that have made those public filings and give proper notice. Proper notice. Not that sovereign citizen shit, stuff. Sorry, that stuff makes me mad. Forgive me, y'all. Okay? I'm sorry. But it's not about that. It's not about these potions, okay? Let me tell you guys something. The court system, it's an evil system. It's not an honest system. By any means, is it a fair and honest system? It is absolutely not. And the deeper you go in there, the deeper the BS gets and the deeper the spells get. They really do. Those of you guys that have been in divorce court for years, you know what I'm talking about. So what do? We change. We adjust. You want your sovereignty? You need to protect it. Do you know what it is? You better find it. And if you know what it is and you know what you need to do, then you know what you need to do. The word says that him that knows the right thing to do and does not do it, for him it is sin. That's what the word says. Pretty good advice there, man. That's pretty nailed down pat. There's talk of people buying birth certificates. There's talk of this sort of thing going around. This is pretty serious. And we need to find a better way. And we need to lock this stuff down. And you need to protect yourselves. You need to protect your families. Because this government is not willing to take care of us anymore, I don't think. I see a lot of things pushed to the side. And I see that we're putting a lot more effort in making the window coverings look good than actually making our system look good. I see it. It's everywhere. It's prejudicial as you know what. So what can we do? Where do we stand in all this? Stand on what you know is true. Those of you guys that are out here and you're doing the 1099 game, and I welcome you guys to the call, by the way. For those of you that are doing the 1099 game and you're not filing a tax return to go with it, expect to get some nasty things in the mail.
You just died, Tim.
Tim, you dropped off, man. You there?
This is Peggy. I called back in.
Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yep.
Oh, sweet. Okay, so let me get back to the. I'm gonna mute you guys. Let me get back to the whole. Where does the money go? Okay, so in the car dealership game, this is 22 years in the car business. I've worked all over the country. I've worked for Ethos, EFG, Sonic Group. Gosh, everybody. And so believe me, I know that it is that the car business is just as compartmentalized as the IRS. So we have to be careful, and so understand that you can't go to the finance guy and he doesn't know all the answers, because when I was the finance director, I didn't have all the answers. I now have all the answers. And what happens is that the contracts and the security agreements are funded based on your acceptance, based on you leaving, and based on your first payment being made. Those are the three factors that will get your deal funded or not funded. Okay. But those three things have to happen. So a lot of times what happens in a car situation, and I know because I did this for years, is that the F&I manager would agree to put somebody out in a car, and then in 3 days they tell the salesperson to go get the car back because, whatever, they couldn't get them financed or whatever. But here's the thing. Those contracts, if they went through the box, as they say, or if they went through the finance department and they signed all their security agreements for lending, and they stayed in that car for 3 days, then the dealership has a deal and they can cash that paper, even though a bank didn't pick them up. A lot of people don't know that. So in that particular case, you could definitely get some abandoned money, right? Because you gave the car back, right? So if you gave the car back, then you should get your contracts or the proceeds of the contracts back. Well, how much is that exactly? Remember I told you about the top of the contract, right? And you talk about the interest rate and how many payments and all this da 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 da. And then on the far right hand corner, they have if you make all 75 payments, like a dummy, this is how much you're gonna have paid out. This is how much we screwed you, basically. That's what it looks like to me when I read it. It's like, okay, this is how much they screw you in the end, so you better pay it off sooner. I think that's what everybody thinks when they read that, but that's what I see when I read that. But anyway, after you're in that car for 3 days, that number, that big number, that's what that contract is monetized for. That's why when things happen at car dealerships, it's like magical, right? Like if somebody did something bad and they just dropped a tree on your car, they would just fix it and they would just give you another one, and it wouldn't matter where it came from because it just has to happen. And I'm gonna meet you guys out. All right, did you want to add something to that?
No, okay. I don't know why I got unmuted.
Okay, well, I'm gonna meet you back there. Okay. Anyway, so in that particular case, you could do that. If you guys know about the double ledger that happens at your bank, you could send them a 1099-A for the acquisition of abandoned property. But listen, you have to be acquisitioning abandoned property to use the 1099-A, because that's all it does. It's like the Tin Man. It just does what it does. Okay. There's other 1099 gift forms that do other things. So you could do a 1099 miscellaneous, and that's for services rendered. That's right. So you could do a 1099 miscellaneous if you hired your uncles or your kids to come and build an addition onto your house. You could actually do that. You could send them you could do that. You could assess the monies paid and get that back. See, people don't really understand how the IRS really works. And basically, you're right. The IRS is not part of the government. They're completely separate from everything else. La, 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 la. Okay, fine. Get that off your chest. Now, they have a purpose. And the reason that they're not connected, because it would be a conflict of interest and they could be in cahoots with these news if they were. Okay? So get off your soapbox, sit back down on the couch, stop beating your chest, put your shirt back on. Okay? It's okay. They're there for a reason. They're not bad. That's not a bad situation. The problem is that we don't have any money. Okay? So all we have is credit. So in order for this credit and debt system to work properly, whatever comes out has to go right back in. Okay? So here's one of the fatal errors that you're going to see with these 1099 gurus. Gosh, is they never talk about putting in. Winston Shrout did it for years. Yeah. So some of you that think you're hot, you know what? You think you're getting away with it right now? Guess what? Somebody's sitting over there and they're just waiting for it to hit a certain number so they can lock your little behind up. Okay, because that's coming. Winston Shrout and his daughter did that. They were doing tax equity and discharge, and they were discharging everything. Okay, and they were knocking it down, and they were selling classes, and it was the newest thing since whatever. Okay, and these things were going on. Heather Tucci was another one of those teachers that was also involved in that process and poisoning the public with things they don't know. So we have to understand when you're assessing debt and you're trying to do this, because you're on the right track. If you're trying to do this for any other reason than just trying to understand what's going on, you're in trouble. If you're doing this for a quick run to the bank, thinking you're just going to get paid every quarter and they're going to issue you a check, let me tell you what's going to happen. And you mark my words. They're going to send you that refund. And as soon as you take some of that money out and you pay these people off the percentage that they ask you to pay them, because that's the hustle, in about 10 days, your account's going to get completely locked down. All of your assets are going to be locked down and you're going to be screwed. And those people you paid, they're gone. They've disappeared. So I had somebody today ask me, why would somebody do something like that? Because they're criminals, that's why. Because they want a shortcut, that's why. There's a way that seems right unto man, but the end thereof is death. So if you want the answers, if you want to learn how this whole thing really works, sharpen your faith. Walk a righteous life. Put goodness in everything that you do. Try that. Because I'll tell you what, you'll get a lot further and he might just start listening to you. I can tell you that me personally, in my walk, I've learned these processes and I've learned how they work, not because somebody taught me, but because I asked for it and I was given the sight to see it and I could see it and he showed it to me. And that's our Elohim, not that guy in church. I'm talking about the real one, the real deal. Okay? He's not in a building. He didn't die on a cross. That's a symbol. He died on a tree. Yeshua is a Hebrew, and he always has been a Hebrew. This Jesus guy, that's a Greek name. My Savior was born a Hebrew and is a Hebrew, and he has a Hebrew name. So I don't know who these other people were talking to, but I'm going to tell you what, it doesn't work. Because I tried talking to that guy a long time ago, and he didn't hear me. He didn't do nothing for me. But when I humbled myself before Yah, and I asked him to show me this, to give me closure, he did, and he showed me. And out of all the teachers that sprung up back in 2015, I'm the only one left. I'm the only one that they haven't taken out, killed, destroyed. They tried, but I'm still standing. And my enemies, they have no more teeth. They can do nothing. They can do this. They can blah, 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 blah. That's all they can do. But they got no teeth. If you want that kind of change in your life, stop following men. Stop it. They don't have any answers for you. They're just as confused as you are. They're in the same world that you are in, okay? They have the same eyes you do. They have the same pants you do and everything else. So when you're looking for a winner, and I'm not telling you it needs to be me, but when you're looking for a winner and you're looking for somebody you want to follow or you want to find a mentor that's going to actually mentor you, look at the fruits. See if they have fruits. You know, we talked about David Straight, you know, a few weeks ago. And this dude talks about, you know, all these people that he's done in Texas and gotten people off, judges fired and all this other stuff. And he's done all this court stuff. You know what? If there was an ounce of truth to that, you could Google his name and you would see all those court cases. Because I've been to the United States Supreme Court and you can Google my name and you can see it. I'm not proud of it, but I've been there. And anybody else that I've gone after, you know what? You can Google my name and it's public record. It shows up. It's real. But these other people, they're trying to deceive you and they're trying to send you down a path of deception because they don't know. You sit there, if you're spending hours on the phone with these people to get little nuggets, a couple of sentences that could be explained just like that, but we got to hold back and we got to sit there and wait for them to hypnotize you into some nonsense. You know what? You need to pick up your stuff and get out of that room. You need to hang up your phone. If you want answers, turn to our Elohim. Humble yourself. And if you're not ready to do that, then you're going to stay in Mexico, man. Literally, you're going to stay in Mexico. And, you know, those of us that have been to Mexico, we always try to, you know, we park close to the border and stuff, you know what I mean? So that way, make sure we can get back, right? And some of you guys are so far out in Mexico, you're not going to get back. And I'm sorry for you. But it doesn't mean that you need to get anybody else into this. Look at the fruits of these people. Look at what's going on around them in their lives. My God, this Kelly woman here, she's a complete parasite. And I'm sorry, Kelly. I'm sorry if this offends you, but I'm going to call you out and I'm going to rebuke you just like you need to be. Because what you're telling people is wrong. The information that you're telling people is inaccurate. How can you heard her just a little while ago talk to us and tell us that she was filling out the 1099-A, acquisition for abandoned property, right? But yet she wants you to estimate all your bills for the year. Are you serious? Who files a future tax return? Who does that? Nobody. Shake that stuff off. Stop listening to these people. They're just putting a tickle in your ear. You need to be occupied. You need to be occupied with righteousness, things that are good. And if you're putting bad things into your life, you know what? Expect bad things. On your next dinner that you have, ask yourself how much dog crap would be tolerable in your food. Like a little on the edges, maybe. I mean, certainly nothing in the middle, but I mean, how much would you tolerate? Well, how much of crap are you putting in your life then? Because if you wouldn't put that in your mouth, why would you waste your time? Why would you listen to somebody that makes no sense at all? Somebody that's telling you to estimate what you're going to pay for the year? That's fraud. Because you really don't know what you're going to pay for the year. When we do taxes in this country, ladies and gentlemen, we assess money and funds that have already transacted. Okay? That's what we do in this country. That's what every tax professional does in this country. It's exactly what they do. And forgive me, my eyes are bubbling around because I'm watching this screen and I'm watching the other screen at the same time. So what does that mean? It means that things are changing. It means that Somebody wants to take over as your master. And you need to ask yourself, is that what you want to do or not? Do you really want to take control of your legal fiction? Do you want to learn what your legal fiction even is? It's not on YouTube, man. Not entirely. You're going to find a lot of confusion there. You're going to find out who your straw man is once you stop doing everything for him and you start managing him like you would a business. When you start looking at your straw man like a business, like an entity, because that's what he is, and when you start seeing people that are correcting their names, or they say they're correcting their names, and they're making the legal fiction name the uppercase, lowercase guy, well, you just commingled everything that you're doing. You're not accomplishing anything. And yet we have a lot of teachers that are teaching that. We have a lot of teachers that are telling people, this is true. It works. You know what? There's not a single court case where it works. Not one. I troll the court cases through all over the country every single day. And I read the work of these sovereign citizen people, you know? I mean, every now and then they got a pretty good little nugget of something in there to expound on. You know, sometimes they come up with something good. But generally speaking, what I find is that everything that they say is misappropriated. You know, they're trying to adapt this purpose to another purpose. And that's not how these things work. You guys stop screwing around in the court system. It's not a place for you to screw around in. Because even if you beat these guys, guess what? They just lie. They do. You guys watch my Houston County videos. I trap them, destroy them. They have no idea that they're being on video. They're even on video. But I trap them. And I don't really have to trap them. It wasn't even that hard to do. I just needed to pay attention. You just needed to know which side is up. Who can do that for you? You think you can do that for yourself? You're wrong. You know why? Because you're in a place of darkness. And that cold, shivery feeling that you feel when you're in court, that's the evidence. Okay? That's a place of worship. Yeah. Did you know that most courthouses are 501(c)(3)s? They're nonprofits. They literally are banking nonprofits because they have a fiduciary duty to allegedly serve the public. And I suppose they do serve the public. They just don't serve me. So, you know, I guess that's another discussion, another lawsuit. But, you know, we have to look at these things objectively, okay? If somebody hands you 5 pounds of truth, you know what? You go put that 5 pounds and you make sure you get the 5 pounds. Those of you guys that went to Taco Bell this week, I know you checked your bag to make sure everything was in there. So check your bag when you're talking to these gurus. Listen to them, okay? You know what? Every now and then, Yahweh will send one of them by just to say something to you, and then he runs off into the sunset and you never see him again. And you know what? It might be the message you need to hear. And you know what? Those people are also on their own path as well. And they're trying to get there. They're trying to get to that knowledge. They're trying to understand it. And I commend those people. I commend those people for trying to find truth in their lives. Those of you that are fighting the undertow, those of you guys that are really out there and putting in the time and trying to learn this stuff, trying to see how it works in your life. You have my respect. You do. Each and every one of you. Even if you're doing it wrong, you still got my respect. But stay on the path. Test everything that you get. Because most of it's wrong. It is. I'm going to say Anna Von Wright is probably the only other teacher that has been around as long as I have. But the difference is that she's a fraud. Oh, yeah. She's a fraud. She's not a real judge. I know. She thinks she's a judge, okay? But let me give you, next time you talk to Anna Von Wright, ask her where her bond is filed. Yeah, you got to have a bond to be a judge. And here's why. You cannot be held personally liable for what you're doing because you're in a fiduciary position. So therefore, you have to have a bond. So she can't sit over there and be a judge unless she has a bond filed with the state. Otherwise, she's a nobody. She's not even an arbitrator. I'm serious. She hasn't even been to law school. At least I'm a certified paralegal, at least. Just saying. So what do we need to do this week? What do we need to do this week, y'all? No, I'm getting my Texas out now. You know what we need to do? We need to go through our lives and we need to take out the bad in our lives. If you've got people in your lives that are sucking you dry because they've got no other host to suck on, you know what? You need to get those people out of your life. You need to get those people out of your life because they're keeping you from growing. They're keeping you from Yahweh's purpose. And if you're waking up and you've got a fire inside of you that's burning, and it says, I need to find this truth, what you're looking for is our Elohim. That's who you're looking for. You know what? I can teach you this stuff, but I can only teach you so much. Faith without works is dead. So you can have all the faith in the world and you can beat on your chest every Sunday morning if that's what you do. But if you're not willing to put those works into action, in Texas, you're yellow. Okay? You're just yellow, man. And there's nothing for you. There's no respect for you for that, for those kinds of people. But those of you that want to seek the truth, seek Yahweh. Get on your face tonight. Talk to him. He'll hear you. He did it for me. And he took somebody like me and he made me somebody. He made me somebody that matters. He made me a respectable man. He did. He made me a respectable husband too, amongst other things. And you need that change in your life. You need that understanding in your life. There's people on this call today that are listening that are bound with the horrors of their past. They're crippled with the words and the papers that have been served and the things that they've gone through. And when we go through things like that, that's called a refining process. And it's hot, baby. Man, is it hot. But everything that doesn't matter, it all burns off. And what we find is that we have a lot of things in our life that don't matter sometimes. I was one of them. Okay. You want some change in your life? You want to learn the right path? You want to find the way? There's only one way. There's only one God. And his name is not God. Okay? His name is Yahweh. Yahuwah, our Elohim. He has a lot of names, but his name is certainly not God. There's going to be a day and a time we're going to have to give an atonement for these gifts and these visions that you've all received and that you've all been waking up to. This is the fire that's inside of you. You're going to be held accountable for that fire. Just like the parable of the talents, where the person buried the talents and didn't bury the talents and squandered the talents. You know what? That's us. And we need to get ready. We don't have time to listen to these false teachers. Okay? There is a very real threat going on in this country, I believe. And I believe that our citizens are going to be the citizens, the birth certificate holders, the people that don't have control of their trusts. Those are the people that are going to be in the sights of the ones that are being hunted. Those of us that are claimed, those of us that have made our stand and have given notice, we're going to be separate from that. If the dollar crashes tomorrow, we're going to be separate from that. If you want to know more about that, I have a tax equity and trust class coming up this week, Wednesday and Thursday. If you're interested in the class, it's going to be the 11th and the 12th. You've got to get registered. Gosh, Tuesday, midnight. So there's not a lot of time to get in. So if you're interested in doing that, send me an instant message or send me an email. You can email it at emmett.damron@yahoo.com. That's EMMETT.DAM as in Mary, RON @yahoo.com. Yes, the class does cost money. It's a 6-hour class. It's 2 days, 6 hours of my time and all the templates that I have filed successfully. And they've been filed since 2016 with no problems. Okay. If you're interested in doing that, if you're interested in having some real truth in your life, better yet, let's just imagine that best case scenario, okay? You got the IDs, you got the license plates, you got all the paperwork filed, you got everything done. You're completely disconnected, okay? It's over. Now what? What's the plan for that? What are these gurus talking about then? You know why? Because ain't none of them even got off their couches yet. Do you hear me, people? These people haven't got off their couches yet. So they don't know. But if you want to know, hit me up and I'll show you. Do you guys have any questions or comments? Anybody want to throw anything on this 1099 process? Just press * to unmute. And I would just, and I do want to apologize for speaking so stern, but I have to tell you, it's insulting. It's insulting to my intelligence, the time that I've spent to learn this process and to actually have done it, and to hear somebody argue with me and tell me that's not how it is when they themselves have never done it. This will show you the power, how powerful of a spell this deception is. You know, the word says in the end times, there's going to be a lot of false messiahs. There's going to be a lot of false doctrines running around. And you know what? Right here, this is happening. Pay attention. Come on, man. I'm knocking at your door. Pay attention. This is happening. And they don't care. None of them do. But if you're interested and you want to know how to do this right, I promise I won't yell at you. I promise. I'm much nicer. But there's only one way to do things, and that's the right way. And that's Yah's way. Really. It's policy. You follow it. And if you don't, well, then you end up in Mexico. And you better hope you can come back. Read the parable of the virgins, the 10 virgins, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Seriously. You may not be ready. And that's what we do every time we sin, every time we step away from what Yah wants us to do. It's like running off to Tijuana back in the day. We're going to run off to Mexico, go drink, because we were under, back then we were all underage. But you could go to Tijuana and you could drink. That's what we did. And then Monday morning, we had to all come back and straighten up, make sure everything was cool. But here's what happens if you go too far into Mexico, you may not come back. And when we are walking and we're living in our sin and our confusion, and we're listening to these people that really don't know what they're doing, we suffer in that same confusion. The author of confusion is not the God I serve. He's a God of order, not a God of disorder. You guys want some order in your lives? Send me an instant message about the class. If you're interested in doing the class, it's not for everybody, okay? If you have to think about it more than twice, it's probably not for you. Just keep flipping, okay? And I wish you well. Since we don't have any input, any comments tonight, we'll go ahead and close everything up. And I want to close everything up with a prayer. And I want to pray for all of you today. I want to pray for all of you that are here, that are listening even after the fact. So if you could just bow your heads with me. Father Yah, I just come before you today as your servant, and I thank you. I thank you for choosing me. I thank you for choosing Peggy. I thank you for choosing Kurt. I thank you for choosing all of my friends that you've chosen. Father, I just pray that you just help us water this seed. Help us culture this walk, Father. So when it's done, we can stand before you and say, we did good. And Yah's going to say, you know what? You did do good. Father, I just pray that you just work in our hearts. I pray for our enemies today. Father, I lift them up too. I pray that you bless them. I pray that you soften their hearts. I pray that you convict their souls. And there's somebody here today, Father, that needs to hear your voice, Father, which I think we all do. Make yourself known to that person tonight, Father. May your spirit of comfort be with their families. May your spirit of wisdom dwell with us, Father. And we bless you, Father. We bless the name of Yah and all things that you are good. And we thank you. And I just thank you for being here with me today. I thank all of you for being here with me today. Shalom. Shalom. Good night, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful night. Next week, we're going to be focusing. I'm not really quite sure next week. I've got a few things that I'm weighing right now, and I'm doing some more research. But if you guys want to do some more research on on Kelly here, she's kind of like a housewife or something like that. She's a stay-at-home all day, doing something all day. She's from Michigan, so that's kind of about all I really know about her. So, but anyway, just go with Yah in all things. Put your faith forward. Ask Yah what he wants. And you know what? Just do it. And you'll get there. Promise. I wish you all well. Yahweh bless you. Good night, everyone.